So, is that still? That's because I've turned it off. That's better. Is that working? So, I just wanted to run through a couple of things, and I want to say that our God is an amazing miracle worker. Um, Sometimes we think that that's where we're at, and that's a photo. It's an actual bridge where the river moved, so it's no longer a bridge. It no longer does anything. It all just ends. No, I can't remember what country it's in, but and there are one or two other places that have got situations like that. But that's where I believe we are at, and we're in the right place. Being here in Colburn, we're in the right place, and that bridge is amongst stuff that's going on as well, isn't it? If you notice, there's lights surrounding it and all of that, and again, that's where we're in the right place. I want to share with you that Martha and I experienced a miracle this morning. Something that we've been praying about for some time, and it goes back to Ukrainians, because that's just one of the groups of people that Martha and I are involved with. And the people that lived in our house that we have here in Colburn moved out, and the last one left on the 17th of December to go back to Ukraine. And when we knew that they were going back to Ukraine, that was a bit disturbing, and still is, because we're not quite sure what will come of that. But then we had to think through, well, what are we going to do? We have this house that's now going to be empty, and we were approached by another Ukrainian, a lady who's actually got settled status. So she's Ukrainian, but she has settled status in the UK. So she's been here 6 or 7 years now, and she's one of the 60 interpreters who work on the garrison. So there are 60 interpreters, as well as we mentioned an army officer, and there are quite a number of Ukrainians who are training, and they will go back to Ukraine to fight. Okay, so we were wondering what do we do about this house, and we got to know this lady who's one of the interpreters, and she was looking to bring her mum over to the UK and bring her into safety. And then it developed, and she wanted to bring her sister-in-law and her sister-in-law's two children, so a niece and a nephew. So we started that process, and we started that process about 3 months ago. And over 2 months ago, they applied for their visas, and it's been dragging on and on. And we've been wondering, why is this? It was partly delayed because the house still had some people living in it, and it couldn't cope with another 4 people coming. So there was a little bit of a delay there. But then it's been going on some time since, and beginning to think, is it all going to go wrong, and what is going to happen? This morning we got a message from this lady called Inga, who said their letters for their visas arrived yesterday. And it's God's timing, isn't it? In Ukraine, the weather's been a lot better than it has been here. They've had really nice sunshine, unusual for their time of year, unusual for their climate. But it's been nice over there. And so their visas have come through. Or the letters, so they have to go and they have to go to an embassy and get all the stamps and all that stuff sorted, which they will do this next week. The lady, so Inga, had actually gone back to Ukraine, and this is turning into a testimony. But Inga had gone back to Ukraine before Christmas, and she was hoping to come back with her family, and she's actually on a plane today coming back, so her family is still in Ukraine. But and she was really hoping for that. But it does mean that they, hopefully, all this snow and ice and stuff will have melted and left. Yeah, and I know we're not used to it nowadays, are we? Because we used to have 3, 4, 5 weeks of this, and that's how it used to be. But we're not used to it now. So it's a real miracle that these people are going to be able to come over, and that we'll be able to to host them, and that they will be looked after, by. And so I wanted to share that with you. Sometimes I mentioned, I can't remember who I said it to this morning, but sometimes we want things to happen now, don't we? Because that's the world and the culture that we live in to a big extent now. Before, years ago, you'd save up for something and go out and buy it. Now it's you go and get it and then you sort out how you're going to pay for it in lots of instances and all that sort of thing. So we live in a now world. But it's God's timing, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to lead up to saying. It's God's timing. It's what does God want and when does He want things to happen, and when is right as far as He's concerned. And I know time is gone, so I'm not going to go into. But one or two things that I want to share with you. As a church, God's called us here into Colburn, and that's a definite. But I don't have any doubts about that. As a church, if we don't develop, grow, eventually we will cease to be, because that's what will happen. But God has plans for us, doesn't He? And He knows what He wants us to achieve here in Colburn. And we need to be thinking about. We're into a new year, and I'm into a new year because I had a birthday recently. But there you go. And what does God want out of that? What does God want for this year? One of the things I think that has come to my mind is that is what we're doing relevant? It might be. We need to look after ourselves as family. That's without a doubt, and it's great to meet together. But what do we need to do in order to reach out to the? There are people who. There's one or two cars that have driven through the car park. There's a few people that have walked through the car park today. How are we relevant to them? So here's some questions for you. Sunday mornings we start at 10:30 ish. Is it time to be thinking about changing that time? Does that help? Would that make any difference? I'm asking the question because I don't have the answers. Not earlier. So later is starting later. Well, it's questions. So think about it, because what does God want? Does God want us to just carry on as we are, which is fine, but we need to be open to just considering whether. And by starting later, I don't mean starting at 3:00 in the afternoon necessarily, unless that's right. Is it 11 o'clock? Is that a better time for people in Colburn? I don't know. And would that suit us as well as the established individuals, people? And another one is a Sunday evening service, a Saturday evening, and I don't know if it's possible because I don't know if this place is available and all that stuff. But all those sort of things. So can we have a think about it? Can I challenge us to think about it? The Bible talks about changing us from glory into glory, and it's sort of very loosely related to that. But changing the church into, so that we can reach out to other people. What is it that we should be doing? What is it that we could be doing? Again, without stressing us all out, without wearing us all out, and taking account of who we are as people. But what can we be doing? We talked about Thursday, the Thursday meeting, about changing the time, and at the moment that's what's been arranged. So that's so it could be more convenient, easier for people to turn out. And again, speaking personally, it's difficult. Sometimes I get settled on an evening and I don't want to turn out again, especially if it's cold and wet and dark and all that stuff. But that's just me. Okay. So, but we need to think about that. And would it attract people? How do we how do we relate to the people here in Colburn? And what does God want of us? So one of the scriptures that I was going to start with. Yeah, the time is going, Owen. Well, yeah. So just from Ecclesiastes about there being a time for everything, and the fact that we shouldn't feel threatened or overly cautious or what. Because another thing is that sometimes we can try things, and if it doesn't work out, what have we lost? Okay, well, we might have lost a bit of time and effort and all that, but we haven't really lost anything, have we? If we try things. So Ecclesiastes 3:1-11 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak." So without repeating it, and going on, what's this season? What does God want of us this season? God wants us to continue. Yeah, that's without a doubt. But what else does God want from us? And that's a challenge that I'm throwing out to us all. One of the other things that I had down here, and this was something Simon and Joe put this up, but I thought it was so good. It says, "This year I want to be more like Jesus, befriending those who are social outcasts, tearing up religious rule books, challenging authorities by speaking truth to them." And again, we need to watch what's going on in our country and be prepared to stand up and speak up. Condemning the world for what it values and what it devalues. Telling stories with uncomfortable messages. Being outrageously countercultural. Refusing to fit into any kind of pigeonhole. Putting the least and the lost first and the high and mighty last. Refusing to follow anything that is a social trend. Being unconcerned about my popularity. Resisting flattery and compromise. Doing and saying what is right, whatever the cost. Here's another thing that, and Joan actually commented on this. Excuse me. It says, I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year, "Give me a light that I may tread safely into the unknown." And he replied, "Go into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That shall be to you better than light and safer than a known way." And apparently, from what Joan told us, King George VI said that prayer. And we need more people in authority to say and believe it. We live in a changing world, don't we? A world that's adopting all sorts of stuff that I would say is not right and is wrong. And that we need to stand up and challenge, don't we? And it's easier said than done. But we need to do, what is God leading us into this year? We can stay as we are, or we need to grow and develop in the way that God shows us. So that's a challenge for all of us. Okay. And with respecting who we are as individuals, respecting the fact that people have lives to lead, etc. But respecting the fact that God has called us here to Colburn for a time such as this. I said it, I think I said it the other week openly. Sometimes I walk around and I think, why am I here at this time? Because I have no idea. Sometimes, okay? I'm not wandering around thinking, I'm just aimless and I'll go around into it. Okay, don't get that concerned. But we are here for a purpose. We are here at this particular time in history for his purpose, aren't we? And we need to meet that purpose. And we need to reach out to the folk here in Colburn. So we need to challenge what we do and how we do it and all that sort of thing, if that's right. So bear with us as we look to the future. If you've got any ideas, any thoughts, share them with us, because we need to be open, don't we, and to hear what people have got to say. So somebody came to me the other day and they said that they would like to share their testimony at one point. And again, I'm not putting this on you. Just somebody came and said that to me. And that was great, because I don't know what their testimony is particularly. I don't know their background, etc. So that, and we've talked about doing things. I think that 2025 is a time not to wear ourselves out, not but to meet needs, and to meet needs internally as well, which we are doing. I have a belief that we are doing that there is pastoral care, and we need to build on that, don't we? People that walk through the door have said that they really sense us, they sense that we love people, that there's love here. And people outside say, God is the God of love, so why is he allowing all this stuff? Well, if you say, get lost, God, okay, that's one reason why some stuff happens. Also, God is a God of judgment, isn't he? He may be a God of love, but he's also a God of judgment, and he has morals and things that we should be doing and obeying. So that's it. I'm done for the morning. The Lord bless you and keep you. And I look forward to a great week. Amen. Bless you.